I don't know if you have any questions, comments, topics, something you may like. We try to
May I ask a question?
Of course, yeah.
So, in the last days, as you might know, we have been in a mela
Okay.
together, and we shared a lot about Gauranga Mahaprabhu.
Okay.
And as we are Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, I guess, very important to know about him. So I wanted to ask a question regarding Mahaprabhu. And I just read in Prema Bhakti Chandrika one verse of Narottam Das Thakur. First verse of Prema Bhakti Chandrika, Shri Caitanya mano bhistam
Stapitam yena bhutale swayam rupa kadamayam dadati swapanantika.
So this verse, it says that Rupa, he understood what is the heart's desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I wanted maybe if you can share something from your heart about this, what you realized, what is the heart's desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
You won't believe me, but today in the morning, I was thinking, okay, today we have a class, and there's no topic. So there was no topic, there was no even idea of having questions. So I thought, what to talk about? And this verse came to my mind. I swear that, and I don't want to play the mystic or anything. It's just how it happened. So it's beyond you and me and all. But it came like, okay, maybe we can talk about that. And I start to think about that verse. And now you're asking me about that.
No, you're very more interested.
So thank you for being an instrument. So, we are all instruments. So, okay. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Okay, so yeah, after all this, something we have to say. I'm looking forward to what may come. Hopefully I can be also an instrument and something can come beyond me. So somehow the question came beyond you, and it was something beyond all of us. So what to say, where to start? Of course, there's so much to say about Sri Chaitanya Dev. In fact, as we met today early, you were there, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm writing one book, my fourth book, but once that book is finished, I already have in mind like 2 or 3 more books, all about Mahaprabhu, Gadadhar Pandit, Nitya Navadvip, all like trying to go deep into the truths of Gaur Lila, because I feel there's so much there. And so naturally for me, this is a very dear topic. And as you mentioned, Mahaprabhu is, before going to the verse, a few words, Mahaprabhu is, as you properly mentioned, we are Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So basically, Gaudiya Vaishnava is the land of Gauda Desh, which is the land where Mahaprabhu was born. Gauda Desh, Gauda Mandal, Navadvip. So Gaudiya Vaishnavism sometimes is called Chaitanya Vaishnavism. So it's the Vaishnavism according to the, to the heart of Sri Chaitanya, to the lenses of Sri Chaitanya, how Sri Chaitanya himself embraces Vaishnavism. Of course, Sriman Mahaprabhu is Sri Krishna in the mood of Sri Radha. We will go there in a minute. but he's in the role of the Vaishnava. Of course, he's embracing the spirit of the highest Vaishnavi, Parama Thakurani Sri Radha. But so he, in the role of the Vaishnava, he's showing us, okay, how to be a Vaishnava in a very unique way. So Gaudiya Vaishnavism is a unique expression of Vaishnavism, and Mahaprabhu is our Istadev. The Istadev of the Gaudiya Sampradaya is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sometimes described as Radha Krishna combined, but more specifically we will say is Krishna in the mood of Sri Radha. Radha Bhava Dhyuti Subalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam is what Swarup Damodar said. Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself in the inner mood and embracing the outer halo of Sri Radha. No? So she's rather in and out. But he's Krishna. No? And Radha and Gaur Lila, and that's a whole another conversation. We may need a few other lifetimes for that conversation. Sri Radha and Gaur Lila's Gadadhar Pandit. We have Gaur Gadadhar here. So Gaur Gadadhar is a whole separate layer of depth in conversation. How Radha Krishna play this unique lila in Mavadvip as Gaur Gadadhar, and how Sri Radha increases the depth of her dedication by emptying her heart, so to say, and giving all her heart and bhav for Krishna to be successful as Mahaprabhu in tasting her bhav and so on. But I won't go there, because if not, we will get lost from the main topic, lost and found. So, so this verse that you are referring to, composed by Sri Narottam Das Thakur, says, I will recite it again, and we will go part by part, so to say, and go into the main question, which is, what do we mean by Rupa Goswami understanding what's in the heart of Mahaprabhu? In one sense, of course, this verse is a pranam mantra to Rupa Goswami, which is also appropriate because the day after tomorrow, we are celebrating Rupa Goswami's disappearance day or appearance day. Now it left me. I think it's appearance day. So anyhow, it's a way of also preparing our hearts for Sri Rupa, who is, sometimes we call our tradition Rupa Nuga Vaishnavism, Rupa Nuga Gaudism. So again, Sri Rupa Goswami is a very defining person in our lineage. And this is in connection to why? Because he understood Mahaprabhu's heart so well. So this verse says, Sri Chaitanya mano abhishtam stapitam yena bhutale swayam Rupa kadamahyam dadati swapadantikam. So the verse says, Sri Chaitanya mano abhishtam. Abhishtam means desire. Mano means mind. So the desires that were in the mind of Sri Chaitanya mano abhishtam, stapitam yena bhutale. They were understood and established throughout the whole world. Swayam Rupa kadamahyam, by Rupa, by Sri Rupa Goswami. And therefore, dadati swapadantikam. I offer basically my life unto his feet. In brief words, I'm giving the general translation. Narottam Das Thakur is beginning his moon race of Prem Bhakti Chandrika, by first falling at the feet of Rupa Goswami and saying Rupa Goswami is that person who understood what's in the mind or in the heart of Sri Chaitanya, and he was able to extract, so to say, that secret heart of Mahaprabhu and give it to the world. We will say in the form of his writings, in the form of his bhajan, in the form of his life example, in the form of the sampradaya that somehow was formed by the 6 Goswamis. Sometimes we say that Mahaprabhu, when Mahaprabhu came, he didn't establish any, any movement, any organized religion. He just celebrated life in ecstasy. He was, in the words of Srila Bhakti-Rakshaktidatta Goswami Maharaj, he was a golden volcano of divine love. So imagine that imaginary, someone who is a walking volcano erupting at every step, and the lava is the ecstasy coming from his heart. So it's a little bit difficult to approach an erupting volcano. It's a little intimidating, even like, okay, this is a little bit too intense. So it is said that Mahaprabhu was that type of person, very ecstatic, very intense, like a volcano, like a waterfall. You can also get to a waterfall. I will have a bath there. You're dead, right? So it is said that the Goswamis took that waterfall, that intensity of prem, and through their writing, through their books, they were kind of made some peaceful lake in which we can swim and dive and be blessed by the gift of Mahaprabhu. So the Goswamis took Mahaprabhu's heart, Mahaprabhu's ecstasy, and they, like architects, they designed gradually the Sampradaya by their books, their writings, trying to make sense what's going on in the heart of Sri Chaitanya. And that's why we can know something and say something about Sri Chaitanya to begin with, by the grace of the Goswamis, of whom Rupa Goswami is, we could say, is the main one, although I don't like to say the main, in one sense everyone is the main one, but there is a case to be made for Rupa Goswami being the main one. So, so the question is, in which sense Rupa Goswami understood the desires in the mind of Mahaprabhu? Why this particular thing is being said in this pranam mantra? Because it's a pranam mantra in which you cannot tell too much. There's not space to tell the whole life story of Rupa Goswami. So you have to pick something. You have to select, okay, the most important thing in connection to this person. Let's put it in this like zip file, which is the pranam mantra. And Narottam Das Thakur chooses to say Rupa Goswami understood the heart of Mahaprabhu, and because of that he was able to establish that and give it to the world. So what's that, or how to explain that? Well, how we can say, we can understand it in a very general way, but generally most of our acharyas have related that particular statement with one important pastime, if you will, that happened between Mahaprabhu and Rupa Goswami. And this is described in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Mahaprabhu is in Puri after taking sannyas. As we know, he goes to Orissa, Jagannath Puri. He establishes himself there, and he's accompanied by some devotees who stay with him on a daily basis, and also some other devotees who visit him at times, like Rupa Goswami or Sanatan Goswami. No, they wouldn't be fixed in Puri. They were sent by Mahaprabhu to Vrindavan, but they will visit Mahaprabhu annually. No, like Chaturmasya was the time for everyone to go and visit Mahaprabhu in Puri, and after that, most of them will return to their places. So, in one of these visits, Rupa Goswami is there, and it's the time of Rath Yatra, the festival of chariots. And if we study Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami makes very clear how dear was Rath Yatra for Mahaprabhu, and how special it was for all the devotees to witness how Mahaprabhu will celebrate Rath Yatra. Again, this is a whole separate conversation, no? How Mahaprabhu related to Jagannath, for example, because he wouldn't see Jagannath in the same way that many other people will see Jagannath. No? There, you may have seen some of these paintings where Jagannath is in Tribhanga. No, so he's crooked in three parts and playing the flute, but with Jagannath face. No? So that's Shyama Sundar in Vrindavan. That's how Mahaprabhu saw Jagannath. Because again, remember, Mahaprabhu was in Radha Bhav. The more the time passed in Jagannath Puri, the more his experience of Radha Bhav increased. So in one sense, we could say Jagannath, Mahaprabhu is in the mood, it's so much in the mood of Radha that in one sense we could say, okay, Mahaprabhu is Radha looking at Krishna in the form of Jagannath. And Jagannath is Krishna looking at Radha in the form of Mahaprabhu embodying Radha Bhav. And of course, by the eyes of Jagannath, you can see that he's seeing something very special in Mahaprabhu's heart. You know? So sometimes our acharyas have described this like exchange of glances in this way, because Mahaprabhu will go to the Sri Mandir, the temple where Jagannath is there, and he will just stand in the Garuda Stamba and just gaze, like look at Jagannath like lost, in love. Because again, he's in the mood of Radha, he's looking at Jagannath as Shyama Sundar in Vrindavan, and Jagannath is, of course, returning the glance. But again, there is some distance still, and we know that the very first time that Mahaprabhu came to Puri, the very first day, just when he saw in the distance, he was coming with his devotees. He saw at the distance the flag on the top of the Jagannath temple. He started to experience ecstasy, and he started to run to meet Jagannath.
Mhm.
And on the way, he fainted, and he woke up, and he ran again and entered the temple like a crazy person, basically, running to embrace Jagannath, which that's not generally the standard on how to deal with the deities, right? If someone is just jumping on top of the others, like Raj Madhuri will pick the guitar and like, stop, don't jump on my Gopali. Mahaprabhu went like this to Jagannath, as we know, and the guards there stopped him. He fainted. Then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya received him. We know all the story with Sarvabhauma, but that was day one of Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri, right? In just the first moment, that was the situation, how he felt with Jagannath. And after that, he realized this is too much, this is too intense. And he also didn't want to create disturbance for the people in Puri. So he established this personal, so to say, vow. I will have darshan from Jagannath from the distance, because if I get closer, I don't know what will happen. So he just stays from the Garuda Stamba, this big pillar, which is at the distance. From there, he's like gazing at Jagannath in love. Okay, so that happens every day, because he goes every day to have this darshan, every day, every year, till that one day we call Rath Yatra, which is the day when Jagannath, as you know, comes out. So the distance is not bridged. There's no longer distance, and now you have the close darshan. So this was kind of the favorite day of the year for Mahaprabhu. Jagannath is coming and giving his darshan to everyone with full generosity, without any barriers, any limits. Baladev, Subhadra, of course, are there. So Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, especially in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he describes in much detail how Mahaprabhu will celebrate and how he will dance, and different groups of kirtaniyas will be organized. And he described how many mridangas there were playing, how many kartals, how many dancers, how many singers per group, who were the dancers, who were the mridanga. He goes into like obsessive detail, but like entering into this mood, like, okay, Mahaprabhu is so happy in this moment, and let's describe everything with as much detail as we can, because this will give him so much pleasure and he's so much happy. So he described how he will dance. Remember, he's in the mood of Radha, so it's Radha dancing and making Jagannath move, and sometimes Jagannath, the cart will stop and wouldn't move, when Mahaprabhu especially was behind the cart. Like Jagannath implying, I won't move until I have the darshan of Sri Radha, basically. So all this is happening in Ratha Yatra. Every Ratha Yatra is basically, that's the standard. And I'm just mentioning it very briefly, but it's very beautiful, detailed description of the ecstasy that Mahaprabhu also will exhibit while dancing for Jagannath, and how he's very poetically, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami will describe the hairs of his body will become like erect, like thorns, no? And he will like the how do you say? How this? 1 second. I have to. The foam from his mouth will be like snow from the sky. Very poetically, he starts to describe each one of the Asta Sattvic Vikars, all these 8 ecstatic transformations. Mahaprabhu will exhibit them one after another or simultaneously sometimes. It is even said that sometimes he will like to chant the name of Jagannath, and he was not able. He will say ja 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 ga ga ja ja ga ga. His throat will get choked up. He was so much in love that he was not able to finish the whole name Jagannath. Sometimes I show a joke like this with devotees, when devotees become too much like obsessed with a number in terms of chanting their daily rounds. Of course, we may be committed to a number, but sometimes we become more obsessed with the number than with the quality of the chanting. And we end up more counting that chanting, right? Right? Quantity, not quality. So I joke to them, okay, you're very attached. The goal is to chant whatever, 16 rounds, 64 rounds, 8, whatever the number. But Mahaprabhu was not able to pronounce one single name. he will say, have a sea level, and he was gone. No, and you won't go to Mahaprabhu and say, did you chant your 16 rounds today? No, he's rolling on the ground. And so my point with this is there was so much quality in his chanting that half a sea level was enough. He was on, off. No. But we may chant 16, 64, 108 rounds, and sometimes the heart remains still like a rock sometimes. No, so my point with this is it's not about just reaching a number, but having quality in the presence we are offering when we are chanting. Anyhow, so Mahaprabhu is in one of these days, in one of these unique Rath theaters, where Mahaprabhu will dance and sing and circumambulate the chariot of Jagannath, and sometimes it's described like he will be like a circle of fire, how quick he will go, and different descriptions. At one point, Mahaprabhu starts to sing one song, which was not in the songbook. Let's put it that way. No, a poem, like a secular poem, like a love song. Like a love song. If we are now having Rath Yatra in the streets of Switzerland, and you tell me, Maharaj, please sing, and I start to sing some modern pop song, love song from a boy to a girl, and you're like, Maharaj, we're in Rath Yatra. What are you singing? How do you even know that song? Anyhow, this is This is not proper to sing to Jagannath. This is a religious festival. We are supposed to invoke these sacred sounds. And Mahaprabhu is singing one verse from secular poetry where a girl is expressing like her longing for meeting with her beloved again in separation, right? I long for those particular nights in that particular season of the year under this particular tree. I'm longing for that. No? So he's singing this verse over and over again. And even his associates, Mahaprabhu's associates, could understand. I mean, they were accustomed to Mahaprabhu doing strange things, right? Things that nobody could understand. And this was another one. So they were not able to understand why he's singing that. So anyhow, Rupa Goswami was there, and other devotees were there. The religious festival, the Rath Yatra, eventually concludes on that day. And then Rupa Goswami goes back to his place of residence in Jagannath Puri, which is Siddhabakul, which is a place where he will stay with Haridas Thakur. That was a place for the outcasts, so to say, according to the social norms of the time, in the sense that Haridas Thakur was born as Muslim, so he was considered was not able to enter Jagannath Temple and other places. And Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, they were born as Brahmins, but because they worked for the Muslim government, the social psychology of the time considered them, you are also, worse than that, outcast. Yeah. So anyhow, the point is that they stay at this place, Siddhabakul, which is a very sacred place one can visit in Puri. And Mahaprabhu will go every day to visit them. They couldn't go every day to the Jagannath temple, so Jagannath, the dancing Jagannath, as he's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahaprabhu himself will go and bring Jagannath Prasad to them on a daily basis. So the point is that Rupa Goswami, I learned the verse by heart and I forgot it. I'm getting old. But I like to share the verse literally that Rupa Goswami wrote. Yeah, I have it here. So give me 1 second. Oh, no, not yet. Yeah, here it is. Okay. So let me I read just the translation. Abhishek, we have here. Okay. So I'll read first the verse that Mahaprabhu was singing himself. No? So the translation of the verse. It says, that very personality who stole away my heart during my youth, is now again my master. These are the same moonlit nights of the month of Chaitra. The same fragrance of multi-flowers is there, and the same sweet breezes are blowing from the Kadamba forest. In our intimate relationship, I am also the same lover. Yet, still my mind is not happy here. I am eager to go back to that place on the bank of the Reva under the Betasi tree. That is my desire. So this is, again, secular poetry where a lover is saying this in separation of her beloved. So it is described that Chaitanya Charitamrita say when Mahaprabhu sang that song in Rath Yatra, only Swarup Damodar understood the song. And as we will see, Rupa Goswami as well. But at that point, they say only Swarup Damodar could understand what Mahaprabhu means. But Rupa Goswami also understood. So when he went back to his place in Siddhabakul after the Rath Yatra, he wrote his own verse, Rupa Goswami, understanding the desires in the mind of Mahaprabhu, Sri Caitanya, mano, bhistam. So then we are establishing the connection. So he wrote this verse, and this verse is spoken by Srimati Radharani herself. So Rupa Goswami understood what Mahaprabhu sang, which was a verse sung by a lady for her boyfriend. He sang it in the spirit of Radha in separation of Krishna. So the verse he composed is spoken by Radha, kind of translating what actually Mahaprabhu was saying in Rath Yatra. This is what he was saying. So these two verses, the two of them appear in Rupa Goswami's compilation of verses, Padyavali. So the verse says, my dear friend, Sri Radha is speaking, now I have met my very old and dear friend Krishna on this field of Kurukshetra. I am the same Radha, and now we are meeting together. It is very pleasant, but still I would like to go to the bank of the Yamuna, beneath the trees of the forest there. I wish to hear the vibration of his sweet flute playing the fifth note within that forest of Vrindavan. That was what Mahaprabhu was actually saying in Rath Yatra. But almost nobody could understand why he's singing that. Rupa Goswami said, okay, this is what he's actually meaning. Now he's singing, he's expressing himself in the mood of Sri Radha in separation of Krishna. And it's interesting because this verse has to do with, mentions Kurukshetra. So you may know this, again, another separate conversation. Let's see if we have time for more questions today. Maybe this is the main theme, whatever. I will try to give some questions, some space for more. But as you know, and in the Bhagavatam is described at the end of the 10th canto in Kurukshetra, a few things happen in Kurukshetra, although mostly Kurukshetra is known by the Bhagavad Gita. Before the Bhagavad Gita, something, in one sense, more confidential happened, which was the solar eclipse. The solar eclipse was there, and Krishna at that time was in Dwarka. So he went to the solar eclipse to Kurukshetra. It was more like, okay, a religious festival, an auspicious occasion. And the Brajavasis, who were at this point in separation from Krishna more than probably 100 years, they go to Kurukshetra. That's the only time they leave Vrindavan. Brajavasis never leave Vrindavan, but they leave Vrindavan, quote unquote, leave to meet with Krishna in Kurukshetra after years of separation. This is described in the Bhagavatam. So, again, there's so much to say in this connection, but in brief, the point is that eventually the Brajavasis arrived to Kurukshetra with all the bullock carts and the jars of ghee. Those are the offerings they can give us cowherd boys and girls, slave cowherds, to the offering. But the rest of the people in the sacrifice is people from Dwarka. Dwarka is kind of the, high civilized city. And Vrindavan is kind of uncivilized village people. Externally, of course. So all this uncivilized village people is coming to the very sophisticated religious festival led by the high elite of Dwarka. So at the door of the festival, all these Dwarka gatekeepers are no? And they see all this bunch of people that seem like coming from another planet, and they are the Brajavasis, like mad people singing about Krishna and rolling on the ground and crying and bringing their simple offerings from the forest, and these gatekeepers are like, who are they? And Yashoda is coming on the front, like dying in separation of Krishna, and gatekeepers like, who are you? I say, I'm Krishna's mother. And they are like, no, Krishna's mother is Devaki. That's the consciousness in Dwarka. But somehow at the same time, they feel she's saying that from certain place that they feel there's something true about that. What's going on? So anyhow, eventually she sees Krishna, and Krishna at this point has more than 100 years, although he looks like 16-year-old always maximum. And he jumps on the lap of Yashoda, and Yashoda's breast starts to flow with milk, and everyone is crying. Absolutely. So all these Dwarkavasis are witnessing, like, what's this? Because they love Krishna. It's not that they don't love Krishna, but they love Krishna in a different way. The love outside of Vrindavan is love outside of Vrindavan. So for them to witness that, it's like, it's a festival of intimacy that they never saw. They never saw Krishna in that way. No? So they are not only discovering the love of the Brajavasi, they are discovering an aspect of Krishna they never saw, which is Krishna reciprocating with the love of the Brajavasis. Since they don't have that love, they never saw Krishna in that way. So they are getting to know Krishna in a new way now. It's like when Uddhav goes to Vrindavan, also like, oh, this is Krishna. Oh, I thought I knew Krishna, but now. Anyhow, long story short, Krishna meets with Yashoda, with other devotees, Brajavasis, and finally comes the moment for him to meet in a sacred place with Radha and the gopis. So Krishna is with them, in front of them, and he says, okay, commentators say he's kind of nervous because he knows we have been separated for so long. And okay, so destiny has separated us, and now destiny is bringing us together again. He begins like talking like that, and the gopis are like, with like X-ray glance, especially Sri Radha, of course. So anyhow, he starts to talk, and he said, well, finally, after so much time, we are here together, and we can reunite and enjoy like we did in our youth in Vrindavan. And the gopis are looking, still the same glance, like, and eventually the point is, and this is the spirit of this verse spoken by Radha, it's not possible. It's not possible because where is the Yamuna? Where are the forests? You are sitting on an elephant. Sometimes you show 2 more hands in Dwarka. You are dressed like a prince. Where's your flute, bamboo flute? Where's your peacock feather? Where are you? Where's your pitambar, your yellow cloth? Where is our Krishna? Where is the perfect stage for our love, Vrindavan? It's not possible. I mean, we are so close, but it's not possible. So Lassidhar Maharaj will give this example, contemporary example, like in a soccer match, like if the ball is about to enter the goal, and just when it's crossing the line, somehow it's taken out. And it was like, oh, so close, it was not possible. So something like that, he said, Radha and Krishna are like so close, but at the same time, it's not possible. And that's why in that spirit, Sri Radha will say, I long that you return to Vrindavan with us. And that's the very spirit of the Rath Yatra. The Rath Yatra is Jagannath is taken from the Sri Mandir, the main temple, to Gundicha. And Gundicha represents Vrindavan. At least for us Gaudiya Vaishnavas. In other traditions, they will have their own understanding. And the main temple from which the Rath Yatra starts represents sometimes Dwarka, sometimes Kurukshetra, but not Vrindavan. So the whole Rath Yatra implies bringing Krishna back to Vrindavan. So Mahaprabhu, while bringing Krishna back to Vrindavan, participating in Rath Yatra, he was actually saying that through the song he was singing, in the spirit of Radha, taking Krishna back. So Rupa Goswami, as insightful as he was, he could understand, he could read between the lines, he composed his own verse. So he composed the verse, and he At that time, of course, there was no typewriter, computer. He will write it on a palm leaf, and then he put it on the roof of his cottage to dry with the sun. And he went to do some daily duties. So he left, the verse was there, and Mahaprabhu came to visit him. Like on a daily basis, he will go. Yeah. And he sees that verse, and he says, oh, there's something there on top of the roof. Let's see. And Mahaprabhu blushes, becomes like shy. Like, how could Rupa Goswami possibly know what's going on in my heart? How he knows me that well? How is so possible? So Rupa Goswami comes later, after a few minutes, and Mahaprabhu is like having this verse, and he goes and he slaps Rupa Goswami, lovingly, like, how can you know me that much? I mean, how can you know the mano, bhistam, the inner desires of my mind and my heart so in detail? Of course, again, externally he was chastising him, but actually he was praising him. How intimate you are. It's similar to when Mahaprabhu went to South India to meet with Ramananda Roy. May you know this Ramananda Sambad, this conversation they had. And Mahaprabhu is asking to Ramananda Roy, speak about Sadhya Sadhana Tattva, the goal of life and how to attain it. And give me proof from scripture. And as we know, Ramananda is saying, one thing, Varnashram is the goal of life. Mahaprabhu says, Eho Bahya Agi Kaha Ar. That's superficial, go deeper. Karma Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga. So many proposals. Mahaprabhu is like, no. Superficial, go deeper, superficial. And at one point, Ramananda Roy starts to speak things that Mahaprabhu accept, no? Gyan Sunya Bhakti, Gyan Prayasa Mudapa Sinamanta, etc. No? Gyan Sunya Bhakti, devotion free from calculation, devotion free even from the knowledge that Krishna is God. And Mahaprabhu says, that's nice. Continue. So he starts to advance in that line, until he starts to speak about the love, of course, of the Brajavasis, the love of the Gopis, the love of Sri Radha, deeper and deeper and deeper. And at one point, Mahaprabhu puts his hand on the mouth of Ramananda and says, stop. Too much. No? So it's similar to the slapping to Rupa Goswami. Like, you're okay, yes. You defeated me. You know all about my heart. Thank you. Let's close here. It's too much. So yeah, basically, just to conclude this not so short answer, this is why mostly our acharyas have connected this verse by Narottam Das Thakur offering pranam to Rupa Goswami in terms of how he knows the inner desires in Mahaprabhu's heart in relation to, of course, not limited to this moment, but that's a general connection it's made. No, this is beautiful lila in which it's clear to show how Rupa Goswami knew Mahaprabhu's heart to the point that Mahaprabhu himself became surprised. Like, that much you know me? How can you know me? I mean, if for you to know someone, you have to love that person. The ultimate form of knowledge is love. Because I can try to know you technically and make a research on where you're from, which is your passport number and your family genealogical tree, your height, your weight. But if I don't love you, there's so much I'm missing about who you are. So the most comprehensive form of knowing is loving. That's why Krishna in the Gita says, Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam. The king of knowledge is bhakti. The king of knowledge is devotion, is love. So by Rupa Goswami knowing so much about Mahaprabhu, that speaks how much he loves Mahaprabhu, how intimate he is. Of course, he's also Rupa Manjari, so close to Sri Radha. So these are some of the connections that have been made, and how generally this famous verse, Pranam Mantra to Rupa Goswami, has been explained. So some words, I hope that satisfies your inquiry. Again, there's so much more to say, but also we promise we will entertain other questions. So I don't want just to limit the whole talk to this theme, although I'm tempted to do that. But I know that some of you may have other topics or questions. So also, but thank you. Again, for some reason, it was very interesting how the question came. So thank you. Yeah. So, any other question, comment, some topic you may like that we talk about? Would you like to share with us what we were talking today briefly? Yes, if you want.
Yeah, no, I think after our talk, I thought, oh, it's a question. Yeah, but I can ask again.
Yes.
It's about.
Yeah. We went very high now, so now it's good also to
come on.
to be grounded on other things that are connected to that which is very high. No, just for you to know that it's not like, okay, we can only talk about high things and other things are like inferior. No, all is part of the same project. So even when we work on more basic, quote unquote, level things, all those are in the service of the highest. So all it's interconnected. So sorry for interruption. Just want to clarify that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. This encourages me to ask. It happens that in daily life, it's not so easy to be in a flow, to do seva with open heart, to chant and have feelings, and not only to look up. I just put these calling numbers away because I was the one who looked, oh, how many rounds did I chant without feeling?
Okay.
And I want to feel, and when I feel, I'm very slowly, and sometimes I don't feel. And some others devotees told me they have the same, and they said, oh, you have to chant more and more and more. Don't think about it. One day it will come and one day it will go. But it's not really satisfying me. Maybe you have an idea what to do to have more, to come more in the feelings and to stay there. When I listen to Lila, then it's easy for me, but easier. But in the morning, it's for me not so easy. Yeah, know what I mean.
Yeah.
Maybe you did this for so many years you don't remember when it was at your beginning time, maybe thousands of years before, I don't know.
I'm not that old.
Who knows? I mean,
Yeah, we are all very old. We are all children in one way, very old at the same time. Yeah, thank you for the question. And again, as I mentioned, it helps to ground our discussion, and no question is inferior, so to say. No question is like stupid or foolish, because sometimes I've seen the boat feeling, I have a question, but it's not the most elevated question. But I mean, if it's something that is important to you now, that's elevated. Right? At least for me, it's not that we are here to try to look more elevated than what we are, or let's see who is more advanced. It becomes like an ego competition at the end. And Sangha and an intimate association should be just to offer love and support and affection, and to be honest, for me, and hopefully this is part of my answer, especially the last years, gradually some shift in my orientation is there in terms of how I address practice. Because for many years, since you asked me also in the beginning, sometimes my practice was more like goal oriented. Like, I'm here and I need to reach there, something like that. And I'm not there yet. Generally, that's at the end of the day, it's like, I'm not there yet. Hopefully I'm getting closer, but still I'm here and not there. So it became for me at one point, that orientation became insufficient, not enough, like exhausting even. Because I was more obsessed with reaching a place instead of being here and now present to the name, to the Vaishnavas, to Guru, to everything, being as much as present as I can. I was more like projecting into the future, into eternal transcendence, so to say, instead of here, now. And also, an important point for me is that for us, Gaudiya Vaishnavas, aspirants to bhakti, our goal is not mukti, right? Our goal is not transcending samsara. Our goal is not leaving this planet. Our goal is prem, right? I mean, sounds simple, but our goal is prem. Our goal is divine love, and divine love doesn't care for liberation. So my point with this is the goal of bhakti is bhakti. That's what the Bhagavatam says. Bhaktya sanjataya bhaktya. Bhakti takes to bhakti. Bhakti comes from bhakti, and bhakti takes to bhakti. So my point is, we are already doing bhakti, maybe not in the most fancy, high, elevated way, but we are already receiving the chance, the mercy to engage in bhakti. And the goal of our life is to engage in bhakti. So we are already doing what we want to do for eternity. So in one sense, there is nowhere to go. We are already there. Of course, in time we may need to refine our practice and all those developments we listen about. But I think this is important to have as a foundation, which is I'm already doing what I want to do forever. So, I mean, in one sense, I already arrived to the goal of life. Now, the goal of life came to me. Bhakti came to me. The goal of life is bhakti. Bhakti knocked on my door, and I dared to open the door. And here we are now. We forever want to sing and to chant and to serve and to speak about Krishna. We are already doing that. In one sense, we are in eternity. And you may say, well, Maharaj, yes, but no. No, still no, because all this stuff is going on, ups and downs, and still of course, I'm not denying that. But please don't deny what I'm saying, which I think is an important point to have hope and to feel, to have this deep trust that if I'm already practicing bhakti and I'm trying to be as sincere as I can, I'm not perfect, I'm a mess still in many ways, but I'm in bhakti, I don't want to leave bhakti. So if I have that determination, bhakti will never leave me. And in that sense, my success is warranted. It may be a matter of time, of course, but I'm already on the path. I'm already on the way to, and I don't even like to use the word perfection. Why? Because in one sense, strictly speaking, there is no perfection. What I mean by this, if we think perfection as a fixed maximum, that doesn't exist in love. You can always love more. If you say perfection Maharaj is prem, but once you attain prem, you can always attain greater degrees of prem. You follow? So in one sense, you cannot speak about, okay, this is the end. This is the limit. There's no limit. That's another book that I've been writing about how the nature of love is in constant evolution, in constant development. There are so many quotes in Shastra describing the love of Radha is always increasing. Krishna's beauty is always increasing. Krishna is the all attractive, but the all attractive becomes more and more attractive. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Krishna's beauty increases and the love of the gopi increases when they see Krishna's beauty. And when Krishna receives the love of the gopis, his beauty increases. And when that beauty increases, the love of the gopis increases again. So both the love of the gopis and the devotees in general and Krishna's beauty is constantly, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, the two of them are in a competition in which none of them accept defeat. So that's eternity. That's the life we want to enter, in which there is no end to the... You follow my point? So if there's no perfection in one sense, it can always grow. And at the same time, you can say, I'm already there because bhakti came to my life and I have the chance to practice bhakti. And Krishna says repeatedly in the Bhagavad Gita, Nami Bhakta Pranashati, my devotee never perishes. if you practice this bhakti, nihabhi kramas, how is the verse? Nihabhi kamanasusti pratyavayana vidyate. Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trete mahato. Just quoting scripture for you to know that I'm not inventing the things here. Krishna says in the Gita, the most minimum advancement in this path, there's no loss nor diminution for that. So my point with all this is, you're already practicing bhakti. If you are sincere, if you are not attacking bhakti like a crazy demon, so to say, you are just in the goal, and you continue to increase your bhakti without limit for eternity. There's no further concern about like reaching some place, going somewhere. If you are sincere in your practice, naturally you will be growing day after day after day after day. That's not all of my answer, but that's the beginning of my reply, because I think I've seen sometimes devotees getting a little bit, how to say, neurotic about like, I'm still here and I have to reach there, and if I failed with this, Krishna will be angry, and in the next lifetime I will be born as a cow, which is not bad, but
Very nice.
Yeah, that's true also. Anyhow, I'm just joking, but sometimes I see the devotees getting really paranoid, like saying, I remember talking with one devotee. She told me, I'm not able to finish my prescribed number of rounds, and I'm afraid that Krishna will take away my human form of life in the next birth. And I was like, do you think that Krishna is that ugly? No, that bad? I mean, he's known as Karuna Sindhu. He's an ocean of mercy. If you are a sincere devotee with your struggles, but trying to continue, do you think that he's such a bad person? He said, no, you failed chanting your prescribed number. No more human form of life. That's the idea we are projecting on God. That's my point. I'm not saying you are doing that, but it can happen. And it's strange, because on one side we'll say, he's all attractive, ocean of mercy, but at the same time we are terrified. He may take away, he may make me a fish in my next lifetimes. And it's like, it's a short-circuiting contradiction. So we need to harmonize the things properly. So once this foundation is in place, which for me is very necessary and healthy, okay, let's address our ups and downs and all the stuff we are going through on that basis, on the base I just mentioned. Because without that basis, all these ups and downs will get magnified. I will feel those like, I'm losing everything, I'm losing this form of life, I'm being and many times when we get in that spiral, it gets worse. It doesn't get better. I'm not saying this is your case. I'm just speaking in general. Of course, I don't know you basically, so also I cannot make a very personal advice, unfortunately, because I also like to know people before I give specific advice. I'm sharing general ideas. So regarding our practicing and maybe say feeling that we are not feeling that much, of course there are a couple of things to say. As I say today earlier, first of all, it happens. Okay, so it's part of the journey. So we have to normalize failure a little bit. Normalize doesn't mean promote, but normalize, not traumatize, not stigmatize failure. Because if not, again, we enter into this performing spirit, like I have to be perfect to be a devotee. And if I'm not perfect, at least I have to show like I find perfect. And we start to create these layers of cheating. I've seen that sometimes, like, because sometimes we go to the temple, and everyone is like, well, everyone seems to be doing pretty well except for me. Although they are all in their struggles, but sometimes we many times feel it's only me having these problems. And we see everyone else like, they seem to be doing great. And I'm with all this stuff, only myself. So we may feel like ashamed, like I don't want them to know that I'm, although all of them are in the same situation maybe, but we think only me is like that. And if they just know that I'm like that, what will they think about me? And it comes all this human fear of I will not belong to the group, I will be rejected, I will be alone, I will be like isolated, and nobody wants that. So in order not to have that, then even though I'm going through my ups and downs, I try to not show that. And I'm like, oh, I'm doing great. Haribo. And that's a problem because we are not accepting what may be happening. And when each one in the group reinforces that, we no longer have sadhu sangha sometimes. We may have just like escapism. No? Like we go to the Sunday feast or to the church and everyone's like, hey, Haribol, nice. Yeah. And everyone goes back to their house and everyone is with their problems, but we are not being open and transparent to openly share, reveal our minds, like Rupa Goswami will say, Guhyama Kyati Prichati. Acknowledging that this is part of the process. Again, normalizing all this. I mean, don't think that the other day I was talking with Prabhupada, Swami Maharaj's disciple, and he was saying that, yeah, like sometimes devotees try to develop all these qualities, thinking, okay, this is what it means to be a devotee, but all these qualities are basically a saintly, enlightened person. And eventually we may reach there, but you cannot reach there in a few years. So many of us may think, okay, that's what I have to the standard. You try and we fail miserably, and we may feel, oh, I'm failing, I'm a failure. And we feel ashamed, and we start to hide that, and all the things create a bigger problem, more and more and more and more. Instead of saying, hey guys, it's normal to fail. It's part of the process. It's okay. You are not bad. Krishna loves you. Don't forget that, especially in those moments where you feel like a failure. Krishna loves you unconditionally. And if you are suffering because you feel a failure, Krishna's crying because seeing you suffering because of that. So try to find that relief and that support. And from that foundation of acknowledging my problems, we can change them. But when we don't speak about them, it goes to the back behind the curtain. So the others do not see them, and maybe I don't stop seeing them. That's what Carl Jung will call the shadow. No? The shadow is that part of our psyche that we don't want to see. We don't want others to see, and we don't want to see. So we throw them somewhere else, like under the carpet. And at one point we forget, but it stays there. So it's important that what we call anartha-nivriti. Anartha-nivriti is not just I chant my rounds and magically all my anarthas leave. Anartha-nivriti is I engage in practice in bhajan while trying to remain aware and willing to recognize the obstacles that come in the way. It's not that I just chant more rounds and all the stuff will go automatically. That's not work like that. And I've heard that advice many times also. Like, I'm chanting, but I have this problem. Double your rounds. I'm still having the problem. Quadruple now. And it's like, I mean, it's not just like a mechanical thing, the more number, just press a button, but having introspection and having, sincerity in doing some inspection internally and say, okay, what's going on? What's getting in the way? No? Many times when we say, I don't feel anything, like the real question is, what's getting in the way? What's the obstacle? What do you feel is the obstacle? And again, each case will be different. But what's getting in the way? Is there something in my life that I'm not accepting, that I'm not acknowledging, that I'm denying? Again, I'm not asking for a public confession here. Each one of us have to reply that in our hearts. Is there something that if I'm sincere and I stop, I know that I should be paying attention and I'm not paying attention? Is there something that I know I need to work on, heal, integrate, confront, whatever the word? I know, but I'm like, tomorrow, next week, next year, next lifetime, Krishna will do some magic. It's okay. No? And we start to enter into this inner cheating process when Krishna actually wants us to see those things and to confront those things. Like that's the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. That's interesting. The first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is called Vishada Yoga. Then we have Gyan Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, all this yoga. The first one is Vishada Yoga. What it means, Vishada? The yoga of despair. That's the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. Despair is like suffering, like
Suffering.
yeah,
Like
suffering, desperation, angst.
Aussichtslosigkeit.
That's the first chapter of the Gita. That's Arjuna in his existential crisis, crying in the floor and being bewildered and knowing what to do. He's going through all that. He's not like, I'm a Kshatriya, I'm a warrior. I have to be strong. He's on the floor like a baby. The Gandiva flew who knows where. He's crying. So that's an important message from the Gita. That's chapter 1. Like implying you cannot go to chapter 2 and all the others if you don't go through the first one. If you are not able to confront whatever needs to be confronted internally. And let's be honest, we are all humans. I mean, we want to be, we are sadhakas, we want to attain the perfection of Krishna Lila. And this is an important point that I made in my book, Radical Personalism, and I think it's very important. Not because I made it in the book, because it's an important point, which is we want to attain Krishna Lila, which is called also Nara Lila. Nara Lila means human pastimes. Nara means human. So Krishna's pastimes are divine, of course, but they're also human. Not the humanity as we know it. Why? Because we are not fully human ourselves. Krishna is fully human and fully divine at the same time. So if we want to go to a place where everyone is fully human, well, we need to be fully human. We need to deal with our humanity here as sadhakas. It's not that, no, I want to be a transcendental person. So what does it mean? That will repress your humanity, you will be in denial, you will be rejecting all that is challenging you? No, because if not, we will use Krishna Bhakti as a spiritual bypassing, as an escapism. Yeah, we will use in the highest, most sacred thing to justify what shouldn't be justified, what we need to work on. So I will emphasize this type of things, right? I mean, and if we are having some ups and downs, we can talk about it. I mean, it sounds simple, but just talking about your problems, that's so powerful. Just voicing it, putting out outside of your own secret chamber. Whenever you expose something out of secrecy, whenever you keep something secret, it controls all your life. When you take that out of the secret chamber, it no longer has the same power, because now it's out, it's seen, you know it for what it is. But for that, we first need to have those spaces, not only be willing to do that, but also as in Sangha, normalize this type of conversations also. Because if not, we will feel alone. Each one will be with their own unresolved stuff, and they may need to talk with another friend, who is not a Gaudiya Vaishnava. And with those people, we can talk about that because it's more normal than to talk that with devotees. And that shouldn't be the case. It should be normal to talk with them. Remember, this is what Rupa Goswami says. We are still talking about Rupa Goswami. He says, Guhyama Kyati Prichati, Upadashamrita, 4th verse. He speaks about Priti Lakshanam, 6 loving exchanges between devotees. One of them is disclosing my heart in confidence, in trust, in intimacy. Of course, I'm not saying just open to the public, to everyone. This is going to me. But we need to do that with someone, at least one person in our life that we know I can be fully transparent. I can be fully vulnerable. I can be fully naked, so to say, internally. And I'm totally accepted by the other person. I'm not judged. I'm not labeled. I'm not rejected. I'm not abused. Because also that may be terrifying, right? Like I will show myself with all my frailties and fears and doubts. My gosh, what will happen if I do that? How the other person will react. So we need to do that with someone who can honor that, can nourish us. And there are people like that. Let's have hope. It's not, there's nobody like that. And that's so empowering. Again, Rupa Goswami said that's a way to show love to one another. Priti Lakshanam. That's a quality of love in Sadhu Sangha. That's how you show love to the other person. I'm trusting you. I'm opening my heart to you. It's risky. I feel the risk of opening my heart, but I have to do it. And once we do it in proper sangha, that's so empowering. We feel, oh, I'm being heard, I'm being received, I'm not judged, I'm being embraced. Wow, so much hope and empowerment. So that's something very important. And again, to normalize these ups and downs, not to be lazy, like, okay, it happens, so I just remain doing the same. No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying also, don't chastise you excessively for that, for not feeling, because sometimes we read in scripture, I don't know, the ecstatic symptoms again of Mahaprabhu or the Goswamis, and we may mistake and feel, oh, I'm not feeling that, I must be doing something wrong. It's like, no. They are in Prem Bhakti, and you may be in Bhajan, Kriya, and Artani Bris. You are not supposed to feel that yet. It's okay you are not feeling that. You follow my point? It's not supposed to happen at this stage. So some other things are supposed to happen. If you study Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Madhurya Kadambine, no, the longest section, especially with the commentaries, there's the longest section is Anartha Nivriti. For some reason, he's spending time there because he knows most of my readers are there. Most of us are there. Again, it's not, we shouldn't feel ashamed. Again, we are not here to pretend we are someone we are not. That's, who wants that? And my point with this is he starts to describe anishtita bhajana kriya, like instability in bhakti. Up and down, Utsahamai. I won't go into each one. There are 6 symptoms he mentions there. No, like initial enthusiasm and struggling with desires and lack and difficulty to keep one's vows, and then tempted to enjoy the byproducts of bhakti. And anyhow, and generally when I describe these 6, I joke with the devotees and I'll say, okay, symptom number 1. And I describe, so raise your hand who knows that, and everyone's like 2 hands. Symptom number 2, raise your hand. And it's like unanimous. And I always like, but also to create this like normalizing, like, okay, because you do like this and you see, oh, everyone is also raising their, it was not only me. Till today I thought it was only me. Oh my gosh. It's more and my point with this is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is describing bhakti. So my point is, even when he describes those symptoms that we may feel it's embarrassing, those symptoms are confirming that you are on the path. I'm not saying that's the goal of life and you stay there forever, but I'm saying in one way that's confirming that you are practicing bhakti, and at that particular stage called anishtita bhajana kriya, that's what you are supposed to go through. So it's not bad, it's not wrong, it's normal, it's what should be happening. Not to stay there forever, but to accept also, not to be like resisting. No. So do you follow my point?
Yes, so wonderful. And I think maybe when I listen to you, I recognize that the point of me is, I'm not doing like this anymore.
Okay,
this
great.
is what I learned. I say,
Good.
okay, I'm like this. But is there something where I can maybe measure I'm a little bit better now than 3 years before? Or is this always the same with me? Is my love a little bit longer or a little bit deeper? Or is this always the same?
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
Why you want to measure and know that?
Because I want to purify my heart. I want to go to her.
Okay.
And maybe I have to do my practice different in a different way. Sometimes I think this is the reason I want to measure if I do the right things. I know I'm on the way, and I'm so happy. I'm so blessed that I found this way, that Gurudev found me, and all these things. And then I think I have to have more greed. I have to all these things. Why they are not growing much more? This,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah. Thanks for the clarification. I was just asking to hear
Sorry,
you. No,
that's-
no, it's good. A few things come to my mind. One thing I will say, bhakti is not so much about doing the right things, but it's more about having the heart in the right place. Okay, so because if not, we may perform bhakti like, okay, and as the devotee, I'm supposed again to chant this number of rounds, to do my puja in this way, and I have to offer 7 times incense and 2 and 3. And I'm not saying you do whatever you want, but I'm saying you don't get too attached to doing it perfectly, because the Krishna is just looking for your heart. It's not, Krishna is not counting how many rounds of incense you are offering. Now Krishna is not like, okay, 3, 5, 6, 7. Okay, now accept your heart. You are legal now. He's taking the heart, right? So my point is, we try to follow all these rules, but because we love Krishna. In one sense, my point is, we don't follow all. We don't try to do everything perfect. So we feel something for Gurudev. We feel something for Krishna. Because we feel something for Krishna and Gurudev, we follow that. You follow? It's different. It's not the same thing. It's a different orientation. So on that basis, if I already, and I trust, of course, you are a sincere soul and you feel fortunate and grateful for the gift that came to your life of bhakti, and you want to grow in that, I think it's important again to trust that for Krishna, Shri Radha, they won't leave us. Now, they won't allow that we get lost. They are giving their mercy for us to grow. And we can, of course, try to measure our progress, but don't try to measure where you are from yesterday to today. No, that won't work. Maybe if you look back 3 years ago to now, that there you can see. But my point is the following: when you look 3 years back and now, again, you may say, I think that I'm worse than before, because of, in some cases, may happen, because I think whatever, I have more greed or I have more, but probably that doesn't mean that you are worse than before. Probably means that you're now becoming aware of things more clearly that were already there before, but you are not realizing them. You follow my point? So in some time you might think, no, everything is okay, everything is perfect. Actually, we are hiding and keeping and or having things out of our sight, and we start to practice, and the heart starts to be cleansed, and all the stuff starts to come to the surface. And of course, that can be intense, confronting. That's the first effect of the name. Mahaprabhu said, Chitta Darpanam Arjuna. You start to clean the dust from the mirror. Of course, if there's too much dust, you will become dusty. Now, sometimes I give that example. Imagine if I enter to this room and nobody cleansed this room for 3 decades. So the dust is just everywhere, but it's so established that you don't see dust. You just think, oh, everything is painted gray here. You don't feel the dust because it's, so it doesn't seem to be dirty, but it's so dirty. So someone tells you, no, all that is dust. Start cleaning and you will see. And you, okay, bring a broom and you start like, and like comes all this, and you become a mess, full of dust after 5 minutes. And it's like, and you will think, I'm worse now than before starting the cleansing. But no, you're not worse. You're cleansing, and you're in the process of that. And once you do all the cleaning, you will see the ruins like, wow, this is beautiful. You're a mess. But so now we are in the midst of that cleaning process. So sometimes all the things will come, but we shouldn't get discouraged of that, thinking, oh, this is not working, I'm failing. Again, I'm talking in general. If you are sincere with yourself, also you have to see, maybe I'm failing in something, maybe I can do some things better. For example, we are talking about chanting. To give an example about chanting Nam in Japamala, and someone comes and tells me, Maharaj, I don't feel too much when chanting. Of course, my first question is how you're chanting. How are you chanting attentively? Are you doing something else when you're chanting? Are you being distracted? How present you are to the name? Because if you are just chanting casually, superficially, while doing 3 more things at the same time, taking the phone and talking with someone and driving the car, that's dangerous to begin with. Chanting and driving, please, I go down from that car. We cannot do 2 things at the same time. So I'm going to something basic, but just to bring that point. Yeah, maybe we realize I could be doing it better. I could chant better. I'm doing that? No. Okay, if I know I could do better, I'm not doing. I shouldn't be surprised if I don't feel anything. It's like math, doing the math, no? So if I want to feel something deeper while chanting, to give you an example, it's not just only chanting, anything. Chanting is a dialogue, it's a conversation, it's a relationship. It's like a relationship. If I'm talking to you and we are sitting and you are talking to me and I'm like, I'm doing some other thing, I mean, you won't be very pleased with that. The relationship won't grow much. So I'm also saying that because sometimes there is place for us to think, what can I improve? Not to go into a guilt trip and get depressed, but also to be open to what can I do better, but also do something that you can sustain, right? No, don't try to establish an impossible standard that you can do it one day and next day you are going down again. That doesn't work. So if you can improve something, improve it in a way that you can keep it every day, even if it's small, but you can keep it. And this doesn't mean only increasing the number. Again, I'm not talking just about increasing numbers, but just increasing, as I like to say, increasing quality of presence. What's my quality of presence? How present am I now to Gopali? How present am I to the Vaishnavas when I'm relating to them, when I'm talking to them? How present am I to the name? And again, not to make any one of you feel bad, please, but just to have a sincere introspection. Well, what can I do better today? Tomorrow I will ask the question again tomorrow. And step by step, we are growing, but we are already doing bhakti. The goal came to us. We are blessed. We have to celebrate the fortune of the chance we are receiving. That's very important. And on that basis, we can ask, what can I do better? How can I improve today? And do it. And if you did it and you saw it's too much, okay, next time try a little in a more realistic way. And one last thing, we shouldn't be too attached to feel things also when chanting, for example. Ideally, I'm not chanting to feel myself. I'm trying to chant to make them feel something. Because if not, I may get too attached to feel things. Eventually, the whole Bhakti project is to make me feel stuff. And I'm not against that we need to feel something. Of course, we are here because we felt something that made us be here. But at the same time, we have to be careful not to just be attached to that. Feeling, instead of, especially when we are not feeling anything. Of course, I like to joke with the Buddha. I don't feel anything. That means you are feeling something. You are feeling that you are not feeling anything. So you are feeling something. And especially in those moments, Krishna will take special note. Sri Radha will take special note. When we are not feeling anything, and in spite of that, you go to them, you offer your heart in prayer. It's not that you only go to them when you are happy and in ecstasy and everything is nice. That's kind of like very conditional. Like you only come to me or you only go to them when you need something. No? You follow? The relation has to be unconditional. Unconditional means no matter what happens, you are my shelter. No? I'm happy, I'm sad. No? I'm in mystery, I'm in bewildered, I'm celebrating, this is the greatest day of my life, this is the worst day of my life, whatever the case. Mam ekam sharanam braja. No, that's the conclusion of the Gita. Exclusive shelter. Vyasa yad mikabudi ekeha kurunandana. So that's important. So especially again, when we don't feel anything, still Radha and Krishna are there. They are there. They are open. They are inviting us. Krishna, as I always like to joke, if you look in the altar, Krishna's always playing the flute. There's no one day that Krishna throws the flute and it's like, okay, I'm tired of calling you. No, he's always calling. Sri Radha is always showing mudra, blessings to everyone. Mahaprabhu is always inviting us. It's not that one day they're like arms down, like, oh no, I'm tired of you, or I am depressed. No, my point is, from their part, the invitation is always open. The door is always open. So it is up to us to knock on that door or not. So even in those, especially in those days that we are having a cloudy day, a hard time, the more reason to surrender and give ourselves to them. Again, they are not expecting us to be perfect. They're not expecting us to perform ecstatically every day. They just want a loving, sincere relationship. So if I don't feel anything and I go to them, immediately I start to feel something. Also, if I start to pray to them, to beg for mercy, for shelter, for clarity, whatever the situation, but with a sincere heart, immediately I will start to feel something. So some thoughts. I hope that helps. Again, I'm talking in general. Most of you, I'm meeting them first time today, so I cannot be that specific. But I trust that always Krishna makes some arrangement to allow some of my words for you to be felt. Oh, that was for me.
I have 2 ideas. Thank you. This is very much. Thank you for
Thank you.
your.
No, thank you
compassion.
for your question,
For your compassion.
or exposing yourself and presenting the question. Is courage to do that also. It requires courage. So thank you.
May I quickly interfere? It was so nice. I feel you're very connected to us, because in the last 3-4 days we were also sharing about Madhurya Kadambini
Okay.
and the stages of bhakti, and how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is like encouraging the devotees to, by showing the stages, and that everybody can feel that this is on the process. Like
I'm part of that.
Very specially and very nicely explained. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that I remember. I think first time I read Madhurya Kadambini years ago. That realization came again. It was a gift, but it was like when I was through all the detailed description of Anartha, and it was just like, okay, I choose to be embarrassed because of this and get depressed, or I choose to be happy that now I can more clearly see all the things I'm going on, and I have someone like him confirming that to me, and that confirms that I'm on the path. I'm already part of this. So it felt so like inspiring. And that inspires me to go beyond those stages. Again, it's not like, oh, I can be there forever. No. It inspires me to continue to grow. So it's a healthy inspiration. So yeah. Okay. Happy to know that. Yeah, I didn't know you were talking about that.
Yeah,
No, Madan Gopal didn't send me the audio. So again, it was some arrangement.
I wanted to share with you.
Thank you. Another arrangement. Yeah.
Another arrangement.
Something else? We have time for something? I don't know. You tell me when it's time to.
No, they're free.
Okay. Krishna says in the Gita, Katayantas chamam nityam. We have eternity to talk about this. So eternity is on our side. Yes. You have a question? What's your name?
Kundalata.
Kundalata.
Yes.
Okay.
I would be very happy if you could share something about the deity in the middle.
The one carved in wood of Krishna playing the flute? Okay.
You like?
Yes.
Maybe you can see that's
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's a very. It's okay. Sorry.
Maybe
I will bring it to you.
so you can.
It's yours.
Yeah.
Okay,
He
I suspected.
He found me,
Of course,
of course.
that's how
I-
it happens. Okay,
So maybe you can hold him and
I can show it in the camera because I will be speaking about this in
Okay,
4 minutes. Yes.
nice.
Okay. So Kundalati is asking about this beautiful carved expression of Krishna. So you want to put him back?
Maybe you have to look very deep from all sides,
Wow.
so you can recognize some
Hmm.
very important signs.
Maybe you can talk to us about him.
I like to listen to you now.
You will know way more. Wow, beautiful. Thank you.
Put him back.
Okay. First thing I will say, he's well fed. So congratulations, Kundalata. You're doing a good job in the kitchen.
Yeah, not sure. Yeah.
I think he's so big, so he don't need so much lot.
Okay. Jashoda cooks a lot for Krishna. That's another department. But yeah, for as we say, the psychology of a mother is my child is always skinny. No, he's always like this. He's never nourished enough. So Jashoda is always wants Krishna to eat more and more and more and more. So he's well fed. Of
Where
course.
is he coming? Yes.
Sorry?
From where is he coming?
Mhm. Was the story of how he
Yeah,
got how he
I know
found you?
from the-
She knows my story,
Okay.
but we don't know his story.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah. Because
Interesting.
he looks like little bit Chinese, little bit
Mhm.
Greece,
Mhm.
so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do
And
you think? Yes.
yeah, and of course it's interesting because you may have seen different deities in different places, especially if you go to India, and especially if you have darshan older deities, like from the time of the Goswamis, or even before that. Thank you. And you will see that not all the deities look the same way. No, according to the times or even the places. So also that's interesting because, of course, when we say, and this is an important point, when we say Krishna, let's say, we may think, okay, Krishna is one. No? And of course, I'm not saying there are various Krishnas, but at the same time, Krishna reciprocates. He says in the Bhagavad Gita, Jayatamam prapadyante tam stataiva ujamyaham. According to how someone approaches me, I reciprocate. And reciprocate means different things. And maybe I'm going too much into the point, but in the Bhagavatam, famous prayer by Brahma, from Bhakti Yoga, Paribhavita, Hritsarojan, etc., Brahma is saying, according to how a devotee meditates on you, you appear in a corresponding form to that devotion. So, in other words, while Krishna is one, he will be perceived in different ways by different devotees. Now, these famous verses, Malanama Sanirninam Narabaram Srinam Smaramurtinam, when Krishna is entering the arena of Kamsa. Krishna is the same person entering, and 12 different people are seeing Krishna differently, according to their bhav. The Gopas, the friends of Kamsa, some yogis, elder Brajavasis, one seeing him as Cupid personified, comes to seeing him as death personified. Quite a difference there. Some others like Brahman, the absolute, Paramatma in the heart, their dearmost friend. The same person appear in different forms. And Krishna's form, this is an important, and all this is in connection to this, no, just in case. Krishna's form, as I like to say, Krishna is a byproduct of the love of his devotees. So there is a certain love, Krishna will take a particular form. No? Krishna is, I don't know, crooked in tree in front of Radha and the gopis, but Hanuman appears there for whatever reason, and he will appear as Ramachandra. He's the same person, but adopting a form corresponding to that love. Like this famous lila, where Krishna is with the gopis in Rasa Lila, and Krishna just as usually disappears, and he wants to play some joke with the gopis, and he appears as Narayan. So he invokes 2 extra arms, and he hides the flute, hides all the stuff that defines Krishna. He appears as Vishnu by contact. So the gopis are running like mad looking for Krishna in the Vrindavan, and suddenly they found God. Remember, Krishna is not God for the Brajavasis. Vishnu is God. So they see God, and they only have one question to ask God, which is, where is Krishna? You are God, you must know. Do you know where is Krishna? And Krishna as Narayan is kind of like, again, like Mahaprabhu was slapping Rupa Goswami, like, how can you love me in this way? So Krishna's like, how can these gopis love me so mad? Like the only question they have for God is where is Krishna? So Krishna himself as Narayan is kind of stunned without knowing how to reply. So he doesn't reply to the gopis' question, where is Krishna? And the gopis are like, Narayan is not replying. He doesn't know. Let's continue looking for Krishna. They continue running. And they leave God there standing on the But then Radha comes. Radha was running in. Radha had fainted. That's why she was not running first. She fainted in separation. And then she starts and she finds Narayan. But the strength of her love for Krishna makes Krishna is faking he is Narayan, so to say. He has 4 arms and he's standing with the 4 arms and with the conch and the disc. But the impact of Radha's love on him is such that he cannot keep his form as Narayan. No, all the form of Narayan starts to collapse, and 2 of the arms go inside, and he adopts Tribangala. No? So the point is, her love is invoking his form. No? If I want to say it poetically, as a deity is carved, carved. So Krishna's form is carved by Prem. So Krishna's form is carved by the particular love of a devotee, which makes him appear in one way or another. So I think it's an important point. So this particular form of Krishna is very beautiful, very charming, carved by some special affection.
The flute is at the other side.
The flute is on the other side. That's interesting also. Yeah. Of course, I cannot reveal you why that's the case. We have to find who is behind that in one sense. But what I can say is that, of course, in his famous Tribanga Lalita posture, he's like curved in 3 parts, which basically means how he's like, Krishna's not straight, as you can see. He's like, some different acharyas have explained this in different ways. Many times it's say that he's receiving so much love from the Brajavasis that he cannot stay straight. Like if I put a very heavy baggage on your back, you won't be like this. You will be like this. So he's like receiving the weight of love, such a weight of love that he cannot stay straight. Also, sometimes Rupa Goswami says, Ahiri Bhagati Prem Nashra Bhava Kutilabhavit. Love moves in a crooked way, like a snake. No, like a snake. Yesterday I saw a snake nearby where I was staying, and they don't move like this. They will go like this, zigzag. So the point is, what does it mean that love moves in a crooked way? It means like it's unpredictable. You don't know what will happen next. It doesn't go in a line like, oh, it goes here, then goes there, then goes there. No, it will be like, no. So Krishna plays his flute today from one particular direction, but next day you don't know if he will play, how, when. There's no like predictability. That's love again. And that's an important point, because many of us want predictability and want control. I want everything certain, with certainty, clarity, anticipation. Well, that's not Krishna, just in case. He will break all your structures, all your schemes, He will play the flute today here, tomorrow there, and you cannot tell him, but why are you keeping changing places? Play the flute in one place, and that's not Krishna, sorry. He will look at you and say, like, that's not me. This is who I am. If you want to relate to me, this is who I am. No? Because again, love moves in that way. And he's made of love. So he moves in that way. And that's why he's curved also. That's another way to place this point of he's unpredictable. And something that, especially comes to something that I appreciate in this particular manifestation, let's say, is his face and the eyes. How he seems really deeply entranced in his playing the flute, right? And of course there's so much to say about that. No? The flute, I mean, if there is something that characterizes Krishna and Vrindavan in itself, is the flute. No, sometimes there is this three play of words in Sanskrit that characterize Vrindavan is Benu, Dhenu, Renu. So Benu means flute, Dhenu means cows, Renu means dust. So the dust of Vrindavan is very famous. The cows of Vrindavan is Goloka, Gokul, and Benu. I mean, the flute is the sound, the permanent soundtrack of Vrindavan that makes everything move in a certain particular way. And of course, when Krishna is playing the flute, is representing the call to each of his devotees, the call to service. Now, when the Brajavasis hear the flute, Srila Sridhar Maharaj will say, everyone, the flute is like the call to be automatically situated in the necessity of service. Like, for example, it is described in the Rasa Lila. As we know, Rasa Lila is the main section of the Bhagavatam. And it begins with Krishna looking at the full moon, full autumn moon, and having romantic desire arousing in his heart, feeling the inspiration to pick his flute. He plays the flute. And it is said that when the gopis hear the flute, different things happen. I mean, the flute is one single sound, but each gopi is hearing their own names in the flute, their own names being called specifically, personally. And not only that, but they are hearing that Krishna is dying in separation from them. So basically, when they hear the flute, they are hearing a desperate call from their lover, like asking them, please come and save me. I'm dying in separation of you. I'm dying because of love. Please come and save me and give me your association. So when Krishna is playing the flute, he's expressing all that also. Now, that's a way of also understanding this beautiful expression he has. And always this analogy is given with the flute. Again, so much can be said about the flute. But something practical to our situation as sadhakas is that the flute is a piece of bamboo, which in one sense you could say is something worthless by comparison, but that's the most precious thing for Krishna at the same time. But for the bamboo to be able to receive Krishna's pran, Krishna's air and heart, it has to be hollow inside. If the bamboo is not hollow, you mean empty?
Empty.
You cannot make a sound out of that. So in the same way, to say that we have to become like the bamboo flute. We have to empty ourselves again, so we can be filled with Krishna's love, Krishna's pran, Krishna's adharamrita. In the Bhagavatam, Krishna's flute playing is called adharamrita, which means the nectar of Krishna's lips. Adhara amrita. There are different things that are adharamrita. Mahaprasad is adharamrita, what Krishna tasted and we can honor. Of course, the direct nectar of the lips in romantic interaction, that's adharamrita. But also the sound of the flute is adharamrita, because it's the nectar of his lips, which is his heart being poured through that sound, through that flute. But we have to become like the flute also, and hollow. We have to empty our hearts, as we were talking before, to be honest, to be sincere, to take out whatever needs to be exposed, no? So it doesn't become a secret there that becomes an obstacle for the call of Krishna to flow inside of us. So anyhow, a few thoughts that come to me while seeing this beautiful Krishna. And again, I've seen many deities of Krishna with different styles, and all of them are true, so to say. Again, it's not like, okay, which is the most close to the real one? What do you mean by the real one? Again, just show us his Krishna as a baby, even if he's 125 years old, as we said before in Kurukshetra. So what's her subjective view of him through the eyes of Prem? So this is a very unique darshan, so to say, that shows one of those possibilities. A well-fed Krishna, deeply absorbed in playing his flute and in trance, basically, playing his flute, and deeply crooked, deeply curved in tree, which speaks about what we were describing also today. So thank you for the question. I hope something, some extra
Thank you.
light may have shed to him. Yeah. You have a question today. Can we have 1 minute for that?
Yeah.
Maybe we can conclude with that, but you have something to share, which was very interesting. So if you feel inspired, please, that's more than welcome.
It's very special. After this, we had this walk to the nature and the place of power, and there happened so many beautiful things.
Mm-hmm.
And now the question answered itself, because it was like, it happens what I thought was healthy for my being in this body, and to bring the worldly life together
Mm-hmm.
with the spiritual path
Mm-hmm.
of the soul, to be in this empty state, and then again and again in the prayer, tell me what's next, what can I do? And now to be here with all of you, and to feel this peace, and I'm so thankful for all this. So the question.
Perfect. That was the idea. That's the best way that the question could be answered. Yeah.
Thank you for asking.
No, please.
again.
Thank you for replying, and yeah, thank you. And just one word that comes to as inspiration before
Yes.
in relation to what you mentioned,
Yes.
because we were talking today about this integration between the worldly and the transcendental, and I think that's a very important point for everyone, for most of us, because as we say before, sometimes in our tradition, not always, sometimes it transcendence has been too emphasized to the point that our experience in this world becomes a little bit like neglected or rejected, even, or seen as something like inferior or undesirable. But it's Krishna himself who comes to planet Earth over and over again to perform his lila. And Jiva Goswami says, once he finishes his lila in one planet Earth, he goes to another planet Earth to continue his lila, and so on. And so he always is on planet Earth for eternity in one way. So how bad planet Earth is if Krishna is choosing to come repeatedly forever. And of course, we study the scriptures. There are so many sections where the material world is glorified as a Shakti of Bhagavan, as a divine energy, as something that can reveal God if we address matter from a place of respect and humility. Like Mahaprabhu, the most important instruction of Mahaprabhu, Trinada Pisunechina, Tarora Pisagishna. He's looking at the grass and seeing a guru there, teaching him humility. Then he goes to a tree. And that's the most important verse for us. It starts with the word grass. Or then you go to the Srimad Bhagavatam, and there's one section, there are 24 gurus. One devotee who has 24 gurus. Very unusual gurus. Of the 24, only 3 are human. The first one is Earth, the Earth. He starts to explain why the Earth is his guru. Then comes the soil, the wind, the ocean, the water, a bird, a deer, and so on. Nature, matter, guru. And even when he goes to the 3 humans in the list, one is a baby, another one is a young girl, and the last one is a prostitute. There's no Brahmin, Acharya appearing on the list. I mean, I'm not saying there cannot be. I'm just saying the emphasis on the bottom also is like, okay, try to find Krishna and Guru everywhere. That's a symptom of the highest devotee. They see Krishna everywhere. There is no place where Krishna is not. That was Prahlad Maharaj's reply. When Hiranyakashipu asked him, I will kill you now. Where is your God to protect him? You. Is he in that pillar? And Prahlad Maharaj looked, say, where is he not? I'm trying to find a place where he's not, and I'm failing. Of course, that's the vision of the highest person, but we should pursue that vision. That's the goal, to see reality from that vision. If the highest devotee sees God everywhere, means that's how reality looks like from a sober perspective. So yeah, it's important that we integrate matter and spirit in one sense. We don't feel the need to reject. Bhakti is not about rejecting anything. It's about connecting everything with Krishna, because everything is already connected to Krishna. It's not that even we have to connect. We have to become aware of that connection. Nothing exists separated from Krishna. You follow my point? Everything, every atom. Brahma Samhita, Krishna says, I'm in every atom. Imagine, how can you say, oh, this matter is so horrible? Krishna is in every atom. You're committing atom aparat. God is in every atom.
So actually, we are always connected. Only our conscience is not there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
we are
always
distracted. That's what the Bhagavatam say. Bhayam dvitiya abhiniveshatasya. Because of absorption in a dualistic mentality. Dualistic means there is Krishna and there is something else, and this disconnected, separated. So we have this fragmented thing where we see parts, separated parts, instead of seeing a whole, complete whole. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachate Purnasyam Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. This word Purna means whole, complete. So it says Krishna is complete, the material world is complete, everything is complete, everything is connected with the complete. But we are looking somewhere else. We are distracted from that miracle. And we are experiencing fear and duality. It's like if you're watching a movie, let's say, and you turn on the TV, so you are in control, so to say, and then you watch a movie which is a horror movie, and then you're sitting on your chair, but you are afraid and trembling, and your heart is, and you are feeling, but it's all in one sense illusion, because you are in your house sitting comfortable, there's no danger, but you became so much identified with that movie that you totally forgot that there's no danger, that you're at home. To give you an example. So in the same way, sometimes we are going through our own horror movies, fear and this, but that shows that we are losing sight. We are seeing things from a wrong perspective. That's why I always love to quote this example of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Once one disciple asked him, Gurudev, can you give me some seva, some service? And he replied, change your angle of vision. That was his reply. That was the service. Change your angle of vision. He didn't say chant more rounds, wash the pots. He said change your angle of vision. Because we could say, if you change your angle of vision, everything is service. Everything is service opportunity. You don't even need to ask for service. Anyhow, some thoughts, no? So I think it's important that we more and more we can integrate, as we were talking, our human condition with our spirituality. The two of them have to integrate. We shouldn't speak in terms of my spiritual life and my material life. If you want to speak about that, that's your choice. You are creating that separation. But for a devotee, there's no spiritual life and material life.
But there are also sorry for this. But when I
Bring the arguments. Bring the arguments.
So it's so great what you're saying here, and this is what I wish to integrate. But I'm not so many years on this path, and then I heard, no, Krishna don't like garlic, and when you eat garlic or onions, this is very bad for your chanting. And okay,
You may lose your human form of life. Be careful.
what do you say?
You may lose your human form of life and be born as a. I'm joking.
Onion. Yes, maybe.
Onion.
But okay, maybe he likes more other things, and this is sattva, this is tamas, and all this. But it's also when I like to integrate. For Krishna, he don't normally. Everything is nice and not. I cannot cut this. Or I have to cut this, and then this is something which I sometimes don't understand, and that I can be honest here. I try to eat it, and I said, well, is my chanting no better when I don't eat this? Maybe I'm not so elevated to feel the difference, or to make. But maybe you said, okay, Krishna feels the difference when I'm chanting with garlic.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. There are a few considerations. Of course, we say Krishna is in every atom. In one sense, everything is sacred because of that. Of course, that doesn't mean that. How to say? I won't use that to justify anything and everything. In the sense of, okay, Krishna is in this machine gun. So I will have more machine guns in my house, and I will shoot. And you follow my point, no? So, or you could, or the argument could be made. Okay, I'm eating meat. Krishna is in every atom. Why he should be angry? So there are codes and criteria. Of course, we don't eat meat because of different. Of course, you know why. I don't need to explain that. In terms of specific question of garlic and onion, of course, the consideration mostly is those are ingredients that are considered generally more tamasic or rajasic, as you know, and they may create some effect in our consciousness. May not, depending. I wouldn't personally make like a extreme case for that. Like if you are doing that, Krishna's angry with you. I mean, I do not consume them myself, but there can be used as medicine, of course, in Ayurveda. I mean, I recently was talking with an Ayurvedic doctor because of I have this tinnitus. She recommended me and recommend this medicine with garlic. So, of course, I'm using it, and it's not like I'm being heretic or anything. So I think also there is a point to, I mean, Krishna has some tastes. He likes some things more than others, in one sense. I mean, it's not that he hates people or things, but he's a person. So not any person, but he's a person. So he has his own, he likes certain things in a certain way. I think that's nice also. And so for me, this detail of garlic and onion will be more in terms of what Krishna likes in his own taste. It's not so much about me or something, but concentrating on offering what he likes the most. Like this positive spirit. That said, I will be personally be flexible in which sense. Sometimes I travel around the world quite a lot and visit different countries and people and cultures. So in some cultures, some ingredients are very ingrained for people and maybe more difficult to conceive living them. No?
Total integriert.
Whether it's garlic or onion, whether it's coffee, whether
Chili.
it's chili,
Yeah.
whatever the case. Yeah, and it's funny because even you go to India and say, okay, chili, but chili doesn't come from India. Chili comes from Mexico. I was taken by the European people, and when the European they went to India, Indians took it. Or the chai, you go to Indian chai. Chai comes from UK. It's not from India. No, and many other things. My point with this, sometimes, we may make a case. This is Indian. This is Vedic. This is what Krishna likes. And many of those things are not even in native from the area, so to say. So my point is, I will personally be flexible in some cases when I know devotees from certain cultural background, they find it really hard to, taking some substances, which I don't think they are, again, extreme. It's not like I'm too attached to eating meat, so I will continue eating meat. Of course, I cannot forbid you to do that. I mean, it's your own process. And even I will say, if some person tells me, Maharaj, for me it's very difficult to stop eating meat, I wouldn't say that you cannot be a devotee. I will say just, okay, but I hope you understand why we don't eat meat. Hopefully in time you can work on that, but it doesn't mean that Krishna hates you or you cannot practice at all, because sometimes also that's being made. Like, unless you do this, sorry, you cannot be a devotee. And I've seen many people leaving the path because they were not able. Sometimes in some Gaudiya groups, as you may know, they will emphasize something called the 4 regulative principles. And for some people, that's not just possible to keep all of them. And they feel a failure, and I cannot be a devotee because I still, whatever, they may feel, smoke ganja or eat this, and I don't think that's healthy. And again, it's very there are so many considerations. Just to give you a shocking one, because I remember a few months ago I put a post of some psychologist that I appreciate, and he's not vegetarian, and in fact for a health issue, his diet is almost all meat. But he says very interesting things. So for me, it's not that nothing good can come from that person. But I posted something, and someone told me, this person only eats meat. He has nothing good to say. I was like, oops, a little black and white. So I was like, and I understand the point. I'm not promoting let's eat meat but I'm just finding something important. And I say, so do you like Bhagavad Gita? Yes. Do you think there's lots of wisdom there? Yes. Okay. Do you know that one of the 2 main characters of the Bhagavad Gita is not vegetarian? And I was like, huh? What? Arjuna is not vegetarian. As a Kshatriya, he eats meat. Yeah, that's in Shastra. So how do you accommodate that? So I'm saying all the things for us to know that things are not like black or white. So and every particular case should be approached specifically. Again, we cannot make like as they say, one size fits all. Each situation is specific, and even at some times in our life, we may need. I know the ones are from health issues. They need to take some substances that ordinarily may be considered intoxication, but in certain specific cases, whatever the case, yeah. So everything is very specific, no? So I wouldn't like make a a big absolute case for one thing for everyone in all times and places. And yes, I know that sometimes the devotees may get a little bit intense or like combative about this or that, but yeah, many times it's more their own understanding of things and their own stage and level of faith. And I'm not condemning them either. It's just like sometimes in some stage we may be more fanatical, and we may need to be more fanatical. We may need to have all things like black and white and what to do, what not to do forever for everyone. And we need to have all the answers to all the questions, and we will feel, okay, now I know everything and I'm doing the perfect thing and I'm better than whomever is not doing this.